everyone, my name is Sabs.
And I'm Sabrina.
Welcome to Zero Calorie Marketing.
Today's interview is with the amazing Emmanuel. We learned about his insane library of books,
His obsession for a certain American luggage brand.
and his thorough knowledge of podcasts.
We had a lot of fun interviewing this young man.
Let's get into it.
Happy listening.
Hi.
Hey, we've got a whole load of questions. We did a lot of research.
I was telling him, I was like, I've been stalking. He was like, why have you been clicking on my LinkedIn so much? I was like, I was stalking you.
I was like, what?
Now we're going to go into some of the, sort of get to know you.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Who is Emmanuel?
Yeah. Who is mine? That's a good question. Emmanuel is a curious person who was born in London, grew up a little bit in Nigeria, has come back to London. More than anything, I'm just a person who likes to solve problems and is interested in adding value to people's lives. And
Okay.
I think I do that via marketing. I think that's one avenue I do that in. But for me, it's just being curious about what people are up to, what new things are happening. And that's carried me through whatever I've done in my life, essentially. That's pretty much me in a nutshell. Yeah.
Oh. Okay. So tell us a bit more about what you do specifically and what you've been involved in.
Cool. What I do? So my day job. I work at Black Curve, which is a pricing technology company. So it helps like retailers manage the prices on their websites. And you might be thinking, who the heck gives a damn about pricing? You'd be surprised the size and the scope of businesses who are not probably optimizing their pricing, and they basically all effectively just leaving money on the table, which impacts their profit margins, how attractive they are to customers. And the crazy thing is, at Black Curve, I joined when I was employee number 3.
Yeah.
Wow.
So been there from the very start of the whole journey up until now. So now we're about like 15 people.
Wow.
We've raised £2 million in venture capital. So being at the very start of a company all the way through has been really fascinating and definitely learned a lot of lessons and what not to do and what to do more than anything. So yeah, that's my day job. Honestly, I do all the marketing there, so like all the branding, the positioning, the messaging, all the marketing campaigns I've done there. So pretty much that's what I tend to do at Black Cup, yeah.
That's great.
So you've pretty much sort of grown with the company. Like we were looking at your background, like you've started as a junior, but then you went into more senior positions. How is that? I mean, like you seeing the company from its infancy to what you're doing now.
Yeah.
How do you see your role within the company?
Ever changing. I think I was fortunate enough to seek out people who've gone through that journey before in terms of that transformation. And one of my mentors, she used to work, but actually I'm a shout out. Bailey Kershaw, I call her the queen of fintech, to be honest with you, because she worked at Market Invoice and she worked at Monzo. And she's doing great things with a new company ventures she's working on right now. And she basically told me, like, you need to be careful of like employee company fit. And what that means, because I think a lot of people are used to the whole product market fit ideology essentially. Employee company fit is you have to be self-aware enough to know, is your skill set suited for the very early stage of a company? And you can grow all the way through that? Or are you better situated when a company is at Series A, Series B, or is it IPO?
Oh, wow.
Because I know from my own work experience, work history, I do not work well in a massive corporation. It's just the politics, and I have to talk to 15 people to get a decision made will drive me insane.
Yeah.
My skill set is more suited towards the early journey of a company.
Sure.
So knowing that I was self-aware enough to ask those questions and to figure out, okay, cool, I'm more situated to early stage of company. That got me into the mindset of having to always adapt, always be ahead of the curve when it came to how the business is changing.
Sure.
So it's just a lot of like learning and like really understanding what previous people have gone through as a company changes, because you have to adapt and grow as a company as well, to be honest with you. Yeah.
How did you, just going back to what you said, how did you find your mentor and how did that relationship start?
So with Bailey and other people that I had as mentors, honestly, I just went to a bunch of events one year. I think that's how we met. Like, honestly, it was just like constantly, and I saw you at 2-3 friends. I'm like, yo, what's up?
We worked out. We sort of lived more or less close to each other when we grew up. Shout out to North Wheezy.
Hey, where do we come from? North Wheezy. That's a deep cut. What was I gonna say?
The mental relationship.
Yeah. Like, so for me, I went to a hackathon. Then I met Bailey. And then we just kept in contact. And then she went for a couple of lunches one time. And I just asked her just honest questions. And I know people find it, I have to have a mentor. But I think sometimes it's a case of like, what value can you bring to them? And even if it's just, I don't know, sometimes the mentor-mentee relationship is that one person's very experienced. You kind of just have to show enthusiasm, curiosity, and also be proactive as well.
Yeah.
Like if they recommend you stuff or recommend you books to digest and really go over, just do that. Just take on the information and the resources they do provide and apply that, and just be curious and like update them on your progress as well. That's why I think I've managed my relationships with mentors before I even got into a startup as well. And then obviously as I've deepened myself in the startup ecosystem, it's just keeping them abreast of what's going on, what I'm doing, and also me asking what's going on in their lives as well. Just really caring. I think that's how you build a solid relationship with a mentor.
Wow.
Because a lot of people, it takes someone who's got a very humble attitude to go to someone and say, please teach me or please help me. What happened in terms of like, how did that mindset change for you from going about your work and then thinking, I need outside help, or I need external kind of, how did that journey happen?
For me, it's like, I'm gonna bring a sports analogy. It's basically like you have different coaches on your team. Like you could be a contributor player to your team, whether it's football, basketball, whatever. But then you need certain coaches who like experience in certain disciplines. So for me, I realized that I needed someone who had basically excelled at marketing in tech. Essentially, I needed that person on my particular team. And also I needed a mentor from like, how do I deal in a certain leadership position? So I reach out to certain people, certain mentors tell me how that. I think the humbling thing is that you can't, there's only so far you can go on your own. And I think a lot of people enter entrepreneurship, they've drunk the Kool-Aid and they've drunk the Ribena squash and everything in that. The Gary Vaynerchuk way of life is that I'm gonna do it on my own by hook or crook, which it sounds appealing in a 15-second click on Instagram, but it's not feasible when you want to build a sustainable business and a long-term career. And look, honestly, like it just comes to like being self-aware. I had to do a lot of growing up before I got into marketing and tech, but I'm glad I went through those experiences because I had to ask questions because I legit didn't know. A lot of people, they might think it's an attack on their ego and their pride if they do ask questions, but actually it gives the other person a moment to teach you what they learned as well. And that's how you get those little shortcuts that are able to you to excel. But that's the thing that people are not necessarily taught, is that if you actually leverage off people's experiences, that can help you make decisions a lot quicker and make the decisions from a little bit more sound place rather than just, oh wow, I'm just going to do it my way in the highway essentially.
Cool.
Yeah, 100%.
Before Black Curve, you had a few other roles. Without naming and shaming any businesses, could you tell us your good experiences and also bad experiences, how what that's taught you in your current, not just your role within Black Curve, but also the things that you're doing outside, like the venturing company that you've got involvement in, and also
it's a good bad. So I always like start with the bad first. Let's just get the bad out of the way.
End on a happy note.
I think the bad experiences I had is that I just didn't know my own worth. I think early on in my marketing career, while I was trying to get into marketing, I thought just being there was good enough. I think that it happens with every young person trying to break into the industry. You just want to get in so much, but then sometimes you're blinded and people do take advantage of you, and you're too naive. So that's why it's good to have. Actually, I'll get to the good part, but let's talk about the bad part. So, like, I've been in workplaces where it's quite clearly a lot of nepotism was in place. Like, you couldn't get ahead unless you actually legit married into the family that owned the company.
Oh wow!
So that was interesting. I'm 25. I'm not trying to get married anytime soon. So let's park that idea. So there's that, and there's other stuff around not being transparent. There's one particular company I worked at, funny enough. One of my friends at this company, he asked for a pay rise, which is legit. He'd been there for a couple of years, and it kicked off this whole internal debate. And basically, 2 hours after his pay rise was authorized, everyone got emails saying no one's getting a pay rise to the end of the year. And I'm like, why don't you just? That should be a teaching moment for the company to say, okay, here's our policy. Let's reaffirm it. Talk to your line manager. Let's have a dialogue. There wasn't. It's basically they shut down this whole situation. He's the only person that's going to get a particular pay rise, and that's that. And for me, if I'm putting my heart and soul into a business and trying to learn stuff outside of work, trying to improve my skill set, and you're not going to talk about the basic reason why I'm here, it's like I'm not going to be committed long term. And that and I've made other reasons why I eventually did leave. So I think it's just like getting into situations which probably didn't benefit me in the short term. But the good thing though is that those experiences taught me how to evaluate opportunities. And that's why I'm a stickler on just being transparent, be honest with people. If you want to have a serious conversation about stuff, you can have it. But, and also just fostering a culture where people could bring their best selves to work is something that I definitely take to heart, because I've worked in places where that wasn't the norm. And it's dreadful because everyone comes into work, you work with great people, but the structure, the company infrastructure that company's built on is just terrible. And that's not something that's great to come to spend 40 hours of your week on, essentially.
I mean, I'm not saying you're going to leave your current company one day, but don't worry, back up, guys. But what I want to ask you is, like, if you will eventually set up something on your own. I know that. You probably right? Yeah. How is your company going to look like? What are the kind of things that you're going to extol to your troops?
Yeah, I think some of that is happening at CGV, purely because, I think it's just it's a great environment where people can bring their best self to work, and they don't feel like you have to like have this front. And also it's just an environment where everyone's learning at a very accelerated pace. I definitely think at CGV or wherever I do in the future, you want to make sure that people grow with you. And there's experiences and there's certain structures you get put into in place that helps it make it easier for people to say, okay, I want to be committed to this because I'm learning so much that if I was to go elsewhere, I wouldn't get the opportunity to grow at a really fast rate. And that's what I definitely will take into.
So could you tell us a little bit more about CGV and how you got involved in that?
Cool. Yeah. So CGV stands for Community Growth Ventures. So that's been running for almost 2 years now. Essentially, that invests in underrepresented founders in the UK. Essentially, so like early stage businesses who need that first check-in from angel investors to kind of like take them to the next level. And the reason why we came together, it was that my business partner Denzel, we knew each other from a couple of years ago, and he reached out and said, look, there's a problem, like startups from our communities don't get enough funding and support in the UK. It's abysmal. I think the numbers are really, really bad. But then for me, and it goes back to my problem solving drive, is that I don't like to complain about a problem. I like to go try to solve it. And I said, why don't, so Denzel, I'll never forget this rest of my life, went for like dinner, and Denzel went on this like 20-minute sermon. I wish I recorded it, some bit of it. 20-minute passion sermon. Yeah, there's a couple next to us having dinner, looking at Denzel like, is this guy all right? Should we call security? I'm like, no, it's cool. And then he finishes it and he sits down and then he sits back in his seat, and I'm like, I'm in.
I love that.
And I think the reason why I was in is that I knew taking an opportunity will obviously make more work, but for me, the opportunity to learn has been amazing. Like, I've learned so much about what the investment side of the table is, and also how startups could like position themselves in the right way to not only just get investment, but just make themselves a little bit more future-proof their business, essentially. So yeah, we've been doing that for the last 2 years, met almost 200 startups now.
Wow.
And we invested in one, Afrocentrics, last year, October. So it's going good. Got some future plans which are really interesting and scary, but we'll probably get into those in a little while. But honestly, for me, it's just learning how how to build a team. So with CGV, we've got myself. I do marketing, branding, positioning, like good stuff for the startups we work with. Denzel's operations and financial modeling. Abby, she is our tech wizard, so she's a full stack developer. So she knows product inside and out. And then we have Abigail, who kind of helps out with compliance stuff with like SCIS and EIS stuff as well.
Yeah.
So all four of us bring a hands-on approach to the table, and we're able to provide some capital as well. But also we're able to develop relationships with other investors in the ecosystem. So we're able to like highlight really good startups to them, and they're able to do vice versa for us.
Oh, wow.
So that's why I'm also on the backed VC Scout program as well. So that's off the back of doing CGV, that opportunity came by as well. So yeah, it's been really fun, long hours, but honestly, like just being able to meet people who are building amazing companies has been like so fulfilling. It really is. Honestly, and you'd be surprised, like the people you meet. That we have this form on our website, and people fit in, and you think, okay, you have an idea of what that company might be, but when you sit down with them, you're like, what the heck, that person's amazing. And funny enough, the company we invested in, both the founders, Rachel and Joycelyn, like they, as soon as they left the meeting room, I turned to my Abby and Denzel at the time. I said, I don't care what they do, I'm in. And it's interesting to see like that particular company, Afrocentrics. They've gone on to win they won a WeWork London Award, and I think they placed third in the WeWork Global Creator Award beginning part of this year. And they've done some really cool things with their brand and reaching new customers and growing a team. So it's funny that I've known of about since January last year, and like just to see their own growth as well has been crazy in the short span. So
incredible.
I see you very much.
Nice.
Yeah. And obviously it's starting out small now, but you're exponentially going to grow it to other parts and
It's we've got a good team in place now, and the growth element is definitely what we're tackling right now. So
that's your thing, growth.
Yeah, it really much is in the job
We're
title.
gonna get more.
Exactly. So yeah, honestly, like it's definitely going from strength to strength, and we've got some interesting things in the pipeline. Yeah.
It's very exciting. Yeah, congratulations. Okay, let's see. What should we get into?
Let's get into some field day-to-day marketing.
Yeah.
So, in terms of, you mentioned you were employee number 3 within that curve, and then you are growth director. And you obviously keep your ears to the ground, and you meet other people who are doing similar kind of things to you. I mean, for the layman, what is the main difference between a marketing manager and a growth director? Or is this just like an interchangeable term?
Yeah, like it depends on your perspective, right? Like from my perspective, like it's interchangeable. But the reason why growth is still positive in the tech ecosystem is that it's about a mindset more than anything. You want someone to come into that position who is thinking about how can we impact every element of the business, and how does every element of the business impact marketing? Because you can't allocate a massive ad budget and you go out and raise awareness for your business, but your customer support is terrible, your product's not optimized, your product's probably crap. That's the worst thing ever. So you really got to think about the whole marketing funnel from start to finish in terms of acquisition all the way to revenue and referral as well. And for me, the reason why I gravitated towards that mindset is because the companies that are doing extremely well are the companies who think everything through. And it's not even just in tech. I mean, when you look at a brand which probably going to buy a lot of their suitcases, actually, it's called, you guys familiar with Away?
No.
So sounds familiar.
Yeah.
So Away, they are a US direct-to-consumer brand, essentially. They sell really cool luggage stuff, travel bags and stuff like that. So in actual suitcases, it has a rechargeable battery you can put in and you can charge your laptop on your phone.
Oh, wow.
And it's really sleek, well designed. And
I think I have seen those.
And like when you go onto the website, the experience is so smooth and seamless. And you think to yourself,
I'm gonna buy everything.
Every payday I'm like, no, let me get off this, man. but they've recently raised $100 million billion valuation, and they're growing really quickly as well. And for me, when you look at companies like that, you can tell that they really thought about the whole customer experience. So being a growth director, marketing director, there's no real difference, but it's just a case of like, how are you really thinking about the whole process? Or are you thinking about the siloed approach to marketing where you say, marketing does this, everyone else does that, or what are you bringing people together and working on projects which actually can take you from, instead of those 1% gains, like that 10, 20, 30% gains that you could do for your company.
If you, this is going to, go focusing more on your marketing. If you could go and work for another company, like, I'm not saying you're leaving it. Well, what I'm saying.
Spoiler alert.
If you could go and work for another company, any company in the world,
Put things into your head.
what would it be?
That's a good question.
Or maybe you don't have to name a company, but what kind of company would you like to?
It has to be Stripe, man. Like, the reason why I say Stripe is that they must have so much data on like all different manner of companies. And for me, like, I'm a fan of their branding. I found out that what they do from like a messaging perspective as well. The reason why I like Stripe is that they bought a podcast I listen to. It's called Indie Hackers. So they bought that podcast, and the reason why they bought that whole podcast is because they wanted to really ingratiate themselves to the whole indie hacker movement of people who are creating these really cool solutions. And the first default payments service they're using is Stripe. And so it's kind of like it's subliminal marketing. It's like, oh, we bought this podcast which you guys listen to anyway. We might do some ads on the actual podcast itself, which I have done before. So it's kind of like really thinking about the whole ecosystem. And also they do really cool stuff about sometimes they publish books that have gone out of print as well.
Oh, wow.
And they publish a book I think last year called, I think it's called a High Growth Playbook. And it basically talks about how do you build a company that goes from 0 to like 10,000 employees. And they interviewed quite a lot of fascinating people in Silicon Valley. So they do stuff like that, which is like, it's left field. It's not necessarily something you attach to like a financial tech company, but they're thinking about, if I was to start a business, what would I do? I'll go to this community to go learn, which is in Hackers, or I might need to read some books. I'll go this way. And also I think about how else would I be able to do my payments? I go to this big company called Stripe, essentially. So I really like how they do things from a marketing perspective, and the founders are really. I've read their backstory. They're just really cool Irish lads. So.
You mentioned reading books, listening to podcasts. How do you keep up with changes to the industry? In your industry,
I listen to a lot of podcasts. A lot. Like that's for me. Put in the background and I just work my way through them. I probably in total 30 odd.
A week?
See, I try to see what happens there. I might fall back by a couple of weeks, but then I catch up.
Okay.
So I alternate.
Catch up on your series.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah. So that's why I alternate. And then for me, it's just that there's so much going on. So it's so many industries which I'm fortunate to be a part of. It's like I got the marketing stuff, I got the startup stuff, investor stuff, VC stuff, even just like.
What are your top 5 podcasts?
Ooh.
You can
answer carefully.
You can check your phone and give us a rundown, man. Because I think that's the kind of thing our listeners would like to learn about.
That's a very good question.
Don't forget, we should be in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Zero calorie
marketing number 1.
Zero calorie marketing, obviously number 1. So what's the new ones? I still love the Joe Rogan podcast. So that's my very first podcast. That still hooks me in. I listen to Acquired. So Acquired is a podcast by 2 people who work in VC, and they break down if a company's been acquired or is IPO'd, breaks down the entire story. So when Uber went public, when Spotify Spotify didn't IPO, Spotify did a direct listing. So they broke down what does that process look like and the reasons why. And it's really fascinating to see how the journey of certain companies was really interesting. Uber's journey on it is really, really interesting. Because the amount of people who came up with that idea with Uber is insane. Insane. So that's, okay, so your guys' podcast, Acquired podcast, what else is there? How I Built This. Okay. How I Built This on NPR is a really good one. It has the way brand I mentioned,
Yeah.
they have a podcast on that. So that's how I got from them.
Okay, sure.
And what else is there? A bunch of comedy ones. Techish. So Techish is a podcast by Michael Behaim and Abidesi. They're really cool people who work in tech, and they've got a podcast which has a UK spin to things, because I think quite a lot of the tech stuff is more focused, or startup stuff is more focused on the US. So I listen to that podcast. So I've got one more, and for fun, I listen to the Bill Simmons podcast.
Okay.
Just to break it up, because I can't just listen to.
You gotta mix it up, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of other ones as well, like This Week in Startups, 20 Minute VC, Tim Ferriss Show. What else is there? The one that actually gives me a lot of joy actually is the Watchables podcast.
Okay.
So it's a podcast where they break down the film and have certain key segments of like, what was the best scene, what was the best line, and they did one recently for.
That's a good one.
They did one for Gone Girl, and I was like, yo, I didn't really think about that. The film is really deep, really deep. So
I heard they do that on YouTube as well. I hadn't thought there was a market for that on podcasts.
Trust me, I am that market. Listen to all that stuff. Because for me, like ultimately, I'm a person that likes to deconstruct things.
Yeah.
So whether it's YouTube videos which deconstruct key scenes in a particular film,
did that happen? Yeah.
Exactly, and like even like for me, one of my favorite action films is like Heat. And there's a pivotal gun scene that happens in downtown LA, and we're going on a tangent here. But Michael Mann, the director, when they were editing the film, they put in fake gunfire audio into the film, and you realize like, why is this terrible?
Yeah.
And the director of photography said, oh yeah, like if we put in the actual sound on the day, it's way more insane. And when I watched the film for the first time, I thought, oh, this must be fake. But obviously go on and say, go and research, like, wait, that's actually real. They were in downtown LA, like doing absolute madness, and it just sounds so perfect. But yeah, that's what I tend to do.
No, I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so in your opinion, where do you think the marketing industry is going in the next 5-10 years?
It's going to be more of this.
Do you think so?
More podcasts.
Interesting.
More podcasts. If you notice it over the last year or so, more brands are doing podcasts, more agencies are offering that as a package or as a standalone service for agencies. I know Social Chain, they do.
As opposed to visual?
No, in conjunction.
Okay.
In conjunction. So I definitely think there is nowhere, unless there's a new format of channel that comes online in the next 5 to 10 years. There's no. Well, you got streaming. That does play into it. But I think from an audio perspective, I think podcasting is just going to grow even further, even more. Even bloody Love Island did a podcast. I was like, what? So like, it's becoming more mainstream, and honestly, this is the only forum where you get to have an intimate conversation without me having to cut to ad break in 5 seconds and have to get my key selling point or my unique points, and we have to like split screen and argue a political argument. I think now, whether it's politics, music, fashion, business, relationships, this is the best forum for having a detailed conversation, and I think it's just going to become more prevalent around the world.
Maybe it's like a balance, like you could say something like Instagram is very shallow, but we're very hungry for that depth, where, Joe Rogan's podcasts are like 3 hours long, 4 hours. Or 3-4 hours long. And you really get to know something very detailed about someone or something. Maybe, there's a kind of balance where we have this hunger in our brain, not just for visual stimulus, but something which is kind of feeds the mind and the heart kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's even, and there's so many ways you can do podcasting as well. You could do the whole storyteller element, like the serial podcast. You could do the whole like investigative journalism route. You could do like the whole comedy element as well. So it's a wide space, and it's an open format how you use it to tell your story. But it's interesting when you say about like the Joe Rogans of the world. It's like you can tell someone's full of crap when you're on a podcast, and the presenter's trying to egg him on, like, so is there any more you can say? And they're like, yeah, one no answers. And I think being on this sort of format, you kind of get to just really show who you are to the audience that you're talking to, and that's really powerful to us.
Nice.
Definitely has an inclusive feel.
Yeah, it's just like a whole conversation with mates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that meme where it shows this is how you're sitting out when you're listening to a podcast. There's one guy inside a coffee shop, another one outside, and like the windows split open, and like he's like, yeah. It's like really like, yeah, that's what podcasts feel like. 'Cause I'm there, but I'm not.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so this is kind of maybe backtracking, but I found it really interesting that you went to uni. We actually went to the same university, Kingston, and then
shout out KU.
yeah, and then you dropped out of that. But after that, you just picked up like a ton of courses, and like you got so many like certificates and qualifications. Like how did you sort of go about doing that? What inspired you to do that?
Yeah, I think it was just I went to Kingston and studied for 2 years. I discovered it wasn't for me. Because I interned in the city. I did get good experience, did learn what I did not want to do, which is fun. I think sometimes you do need to get those early experiences in your life, the exposures and stuff, so you can find out if you like it or not. And me leaving university, I just really wanted to find something which spoke to me. So ever since I was a kid, I was like looking at TV ads and like thinking about, oh, that could be done better. And I kept on doing that for like most of my life. And then
I can do it better.
And honestly, like I'm like, yo, like that is trash. And then eventually I was like, you know what, I got to put my money where my mouth is. Like, let me just give it a go. So I think someone sent me, because I was asking people what courses I should take. And at the time, like I think it was Google Squared online course. It's like an online marketing course essentially, just teach you the fundamentals of marketing. So applied to that, got into that, did that for about a year. And then from there, I just wanted to, and for me, like once that course was done, I didn't think my education was done. I think for me, a lot of people graduate university or leave university and think, okay, I never need to learn again. For me, I've always been a lifelong learner. So whether it's reading books, newspapers, being online, diving into forums, it's always about what else. It's just this natural thirst for knowledge and trying to figure out what's next. So I just applied it to myself essentially. So I took all that energy. I thought, okay, cool. From one course, what else can I learn? I could learn email marketing. I could do email marketing courses. I could do all this other stuff, which just try to broaden my skill set and just try things. Honestly, I think I was studying a lot. I was learning a lot. I was a waiter at the time, but also I was applying it. So I was working random projects. Like for example, I still got I discovered this folder of like random projects I thought I would take off.
Oh wow!
So this is back into oh my god, this is back into
maybe they will.
Nah, this one's not gonna work, man. Trust me. There's one company I thought I could take off. It was like because my family we moved from North London to Essex essentially. And I was like, why is this removal process so annoying? So I thought I could come up with like Uber for removals. And I called it removal, I just took out the A. And I designed a logo, designed a landing page. I was like, I'm designing ads, trying to like, promote the business. I quickly discovered that Uber raised a ton of money. I was like, you know what, let me just park this right now. But yeah, honestly, like I think like even having the gumption to say, okay, cool, maybe I could design something that can make my experience a lot more easier, like add value to other people's lives, is just something that I've definitely just worked on it. Because I didn't know like how to build a business back then, but just giving it a go.
Try it.
Yeah, just trying it and then figuring out like, okay, cool, I might not want to do it this way, or here's how I could do it. Here's the steps I could take to make it a lot easier if I was to pursue it. Okay. So that's for me, is how I got into all these courses and gained a lot of experience as well.
How do you think this idea of this curiosity of the world was engendered? Like how, if you were to think back, like.
Yeah, honestly, like, yeah, I think my parents definitely were like, always willing to push my brother to just do things and try things. I think especially so, I think from a business perspective, I didn't quite realize it. Like my mum was a blueprint entrepreneur. Like she was doing stuff like, okay, let me give you the backstory. So my mum, right, like she...
Mum plug.
Yeah, the mum plug. So my mum had 2 shops of Really Real Market in Hackney. So she had one shop which was for women's hair care and hair products, and another shop where she like imported garments from like India and China. So she used to go to those countries all by herself, like negotiate with the manufacturers, get the shipment over, get the container sorted, send it over here, all by herself. So essentially, she was running Alibaba before Alibaba. Wow. Let's be honest. So like for me, and then she import everything over, then she adds her particular margins, and she sell the products in the market. So she did that for like 5-6 years, you know what I mean? And for me, that was the blueprint of an entrepreneur. I didn't clock it until like way there, and I was like, Mom, like you've done really cool things.
Have you discussed this with her?
Yeah, and she was like, yeah, but then when I did, and like she was telling me it was tough because obviously she couldn't go to the bank to get a loan, so she had to like work odd jobs to get off money for like payment or to get a lease for a shop on Really Market. Eventually, one shop was profitable enough that she got a shop next door, and she was able to run both of them at the same time. Whilst like like looking after like a couple three kids, essentially my brother, myself, and my sister. Like for me, it's just that drive to actually just try, and once you break it, deconstruct it down into its fundamental essence, is like giving things a go will get you a lot further if you didn't do anything, and that's just me in a nutshell, essentially. Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah.
I mean, I think our next guest should be Emmanuel's mum.
Yo, she'll come through, cook for everyone. Yo, shit, yo. I should have bought some stuff, you know what I mean? Yo.
I love that. I think that's a good idea.
Come through. Part 2, the whole family, all the mums, all the mums entrepreneurs, you know what I mean? That's great.
The goats,
Yeah, man.
Okay, should we do our final question or with?
You didn't.
Oh, the.
Actually, I have a whole bunch of other questions, but.
Yeah, sure. Hit me. You got me. I'm all this.
Oh yes. Okay. I wanted to ask.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to someone starting out in the marketing industry? Like, what would your top 3 tips be, or like something? If someone came to you and asked you, "Listen, I'm starting out. What can you share with me?" What would that 1, 2, 3 thing be?
3 things. 1, do up your LinkedIn profile. Make it as up to date and representative of what you're doing. A little trick which someone taught me, which actually helped me land my job at Black Hat, funny enough, is that even if you haven't completed a course and you're doing it, put it in your CV, put it on your LinkedIn profile, because your LinkedIn profile is your business card nowadays anyway, because it shows you being proactive. Because if you're trying to break into industry, people will take a chance on you if you're being proactive. If you're not doing anything, or if you are doing something but you're not highlighting it in places where people are going to see you, it's very hard for them to gauge that does this person really care. That's definitely 1. 2, be self-aware. I think the second best book I read in my life, apart from Think and Grow Rich, would be The Obstacle's the Way. It's by
Ryan Holiday.
Ryan Holiday. Yeah. That book changed. You know what's funny? He had a contest here to like find people to promote the book, and I emailed him. He emailed back, but he didn't pick me. I still got that email in my folder, like just there. But he's a cool guy. Like that book, Obstacles the Way, is the best book on self-awareness. Especially, it's basically like a lot of stoicism, but it's condensed in a way that's more modern. And that book, I got that book just before I got my first marketing job. Wow. So that gave me the good foundation to realize that, like, you only can control what you can control, and worrying about things that outside of your control doesn't really do anything. But since you can control most things that are happening in your life, you could definitely do things to make your life look better.
Sure.
So that book was really fundamental for me. So whatever way people need to do to understand this, I'll become more self-aware, I definitely would recommend. And what I mean by, just to tag on to that, is that just knowing like what you're good at and what you're not good at. Like, I'm not going to go to like a CFO conference and be like, guys, here's my modeling of this whole financial business. And like, here's my, I don't know what financial people do. Probably got like look at Sage all day. But for me, I definitely think playing to your strengths is very key. So yeah, I think read Obstacles Away, be more self-aware. And there was another book. There's another book that I could recommend. It's called Stand Out 2.0. So it's a book, it's 15 pages. It's basically, the first 15 pages tell you what the book is about. Do a quiz. The quiz gives you 2 personality traits, essentially. So I'm the teacher and the advisor. And at first I'm like, I want to teach ups. I hated school. But for the rest of the book, it gives you two personality traits, right? And every chapter that's applicable to you, as my teacher chapter is, it details like why is that relevant for you, details what you need to do in like job situations when you're looking for new, like looking to progress, what to look out for as well, what makes you great. And our whole book is based on the ethos of bringing your strengths, amplifying your strengths instead of you focus always on your weaknesses. Because I think sometimes everyone's trying to be perfect. But there's things that you guys could do that I can never do, and vice versa. And I think sometimes we just need to tap into what makes us great.
Yeah. So
I think those two books are really, really fundamental for me in terms of my growth from a personal perspective. I think the third thing is networking. I think when I mean by networking, it's not trying to like become friends with a CEO. I think networking horizontally actually is very, very important, because there are friends of mine who 5-6 years ago, we all bonded just trying to like, elevate and do our own things. Like him, like, we bonded over many a drink. But like, it's like, you've gone on to do great things, and like...
So have you.
Yeah, but it's just like, we were all working, right? And we connected, we linked up, we celebrate each other's success. And I think that's important that you network horizontally, because as you advance in your career, people grow with you. And it's really funny now, like if I drop into any of these WhatsApp groups and say, oh, I need help with this, there's 5 or 6 recommendations off that. And by networking horizontally, you grow with your own tribe, you're able to help each other out. And I think just being able to like reciprocate and like we just be helpful to people is very, 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 it's just a good thing to do, to be honest with you. Because I get opportunities, I pass on to people might highlight stuff I would have never known of if I didn't know that person. And that's how you kind of get tuned into what's really going on. Okay. And the opportunities, if you network horizontally and grow with your people, I think you should be fine. Yeah.
Cool. Great. I think we covered a lot of topics.
We did. We jumped around, but it's
it's all really good stuff.
I feel like there's still more we could go on about.
There's still more.
You got me back.
Yeah.
Part two.
I like that. That's good.
I think from my side, like just seeing you grow from, I think when we first met to what you're doing now has been amazing.
Thank you,
like
appreciate it.
Every time I meet you, you're doing something new, or like I follow you on Instagram and you're doing cool stuff. But also, I understand it because I'm going through that journey myself, and it really is so nice to see you do well, and long may the success continue. Long may you grow.
Thank you. Likewise.
I think from my side, I'm very curious to see where your career is going to go next, and what you're doing. I'm not trying to take you away from your day.
I just want to poach you.
No, but it's just like just to see what you get up to next.
That's a good question.
Someone who's growing all the time, there is no cap to what they can achieve, in my opinion, because it's just like you compound interest. Like you keep learning new, and every single day you become a better person by 0.01%. By the end of the year, you are better than the person you were 50, 60, 70% more than what you were last year.
I love that metaphor. That's a good one.
Like it's not a case of I'm going to go to the best university, I'm going to do this. It's more a case of just having that open mind, and I see that in you when you approach things. So it's so nice to sort of sit down and actually get a chance to talk to you and get this out there to our listeners. Any pieces of advice that you want to leave? Have the last word.
If you can afford it, see a therapist. Honestly, best investment I've ever made in my life.
Okay.
I've been seeing one since the start of the year, and do you know what's interesting is like as you elevate in your career, sometimes you can't bring your problems to other people.
Yeah.
And I didn't quite clock that until like I was promoted to growth director at my day job last year. And before I could like go with people and talk about things, but like when you get elevated to leadership positions, you can't quite do that as you usually do, especially as the team expands. So like sometimes you just need someone who can talk to you about things objectively. And honestly, like my therapist does it. She does this amazing thing. She went to like the last 5 minutes and hits me one question, and literally you'd be like, "Rah, I never thought about that." It's like she literally one time she said, "Oh, how come you haven't really talk about your relationship with ex family member?" I'm like, but I don't want to talk about ex family member. He's like, why? And he's like, let's unpack that. When you unpack it, like you're in tears, but the reason why you're in tears is because you've like held on to stuff that should have been let go a long time ago.
Wow.
And it's funny enough that she says a lot of people's issues stem from like childhood stuff and trauma, which unless you really exercise them, you're never really gonna progress. Because it impacts every single stage of your life. Like what she says, I don't go to therapy session. Well, what she says is like you got these circles in your life, right? You got your career, you got your family, you got your friends, your relationships, but they're all interlinked. And if one is really off kilter, that does impact everything else. No one ever gets that perfect balance all the time, but you can work to make it a little bit more even. And that's just the stuff that has helped me even more, dealing with even more work and more challenges that come up this year, is just dealing with who is Emmanuel and like how is he doing? Because I'm always open up with people out, never really checking on myself. So yeah, I think just going through that journey has been definitely eye-opening. Definitely, if you can, 100% recommend you do it. Man. It's really
something you don't think
deep.
about, but yeah.
How can people get hold of you?
Yeah, last question. How can we contact you?
Contact me. Well, many ways. If you hit
Putting it on the ground.
Cool. My LinkedIn is Emmanuel Aremu. My DMs are open, so hit me up there. But also, if you want to hit me up on my email, you can hit me up at emmanuel.aremu@blackcover.com. I'm pretty willing to help people out. Whatever questions they do have about whether it's marketing stuff, angel investment stuff, hit me up. I'm definitely willing to have a chat about that, essentially. Yeah.
Okay, so these are the rapid fire questions, just to break the ice a bit. So, shall we go? All right. Would you rather have your holiday at a beach location or a city break?
Oh, nowadays it will be beach. 100%, yeah.
Okay. Card or cash?
Or card, all day, all day.
Summer or winter?
I'm a winter baby, but I have to go summer.
Yeah. London summer though, or?
Well, London hot summer. I'll take that.
With that humidity.
Yeah, extra humidity.
Okay. Pepsi or Coke?
I'll Coke all day.
Ooh, interesting. Favorite TV show of all time?
Have to be The Wire.
Oh,
good choice.
Taught me about a lot about business and people. Really did.
Okay. Oh, which Friends character would you be?
I hate Friends.
Oh. Okay, so that's a no.
I really do. It's so overrated in my opinion.
No, I got quite. If a rapper could play you in your movie biopic, which rapper would you?
It would have to be Will Smith.
Will Smith?
Yeah, a young Will Smith.
A young Will Smith.
That's pretty much.
Fresh Prince Will Smith?
Yeah, Fresh Prince Will
I see
Smith.
it. I think that could work.
Yeah, definitely. That'll work for me.
Oh, what is the strangest thing you've ever eaten?
Oh, okay.
Okay, I love that. Okay.
Like, I'm trying to think now, like, what the strangest thing I've ever eaten? When you were a kid, like, I had a cockroach when I was a kid. Does that count?
Whoa.
Like,
Like, it was. I was
do you
being an
remember
idiot.
what type? Like
It was just a little cockroach, and I ate it when I was a kid. Like, not my proudest moment.
Whoa.
Tasted weird. Definitely tasted weird.
That's all right. Okay, what was the last book you read?
This man is a good big reader, so.
Actually, I've tailed off. I've tailed off. The last book I read, really in depth, was it's a book called The Invested Investor.
Oh, okay.
It's by a British leading angel investor in the UK. Basically, it gives you the perfect blueprint for you to assess investment opportunities, especially early stage investment opportunities in the UK specifically. There's quite a lot like the venture capitalist and angel investment books are quite US focused. So I went for like it was dinner with the author, and he basically he was there basically talking about his experiences, his trials and tribulations, and like gave me a signed copy of the book.
That's fun.
Eventually finished it.
But you do read a lot of books in general.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's my bad habit. I keep buying too many books, man.
Oh man, no, that's never a bad habit.
No, that's a good habit. Okay, what is the most interesting thing you own?
That's a good question.
Go on, tell us.
Interesting thing I own. It'll have to be my books, man. I have to go back to my books. Honestly, like I don't really have that many material things.
Okay,
Like for
that's
me,
fine.
it's about the experiences you have with people.
Cool.
So like if you were to say what have I spent most of my money on, is like going to concerts with people, or my friends and family and stuff like that.
Oh, right, yeah.
But like actual tangible things, would just be like
Books, I
too many books, man. Too many books.
No, that's quite cool. Okay. What is your most used app on your phone? And I know you can check that. You can check that.
Verify.
You can verify that one.
Go to your settings.
For this podcast, it'll have to be my emails because I'm always in my emails. That's what we'll say. Instagram. It's so nowadays. Obviously, everyone, if you're on Apple, you get the weekly update that says how long you've been using these particular apps. It's so depressing. I'm like, why am I on there all the time? Yeah.
No, I know what you mean. What was one of the most spontaneous things you've ever done?
I booked a holiday to Berlin. So my first ever solo trip as well.
Nice.
So I went to Berlin. It was what year? It was 2016. So just like for 3 days, honestly, best trip of my life because it just really took myself out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And met really good friends. Actually, someone I met at my hostel. She's my best friend now, actually.
Oh,
so
wow.
so you really just booking a trip, going on my own, and just getting comfortable, just being outside of my comfort zone is what I learned from
That's great. That's such an experience.
Yeah, that's why I love this guy, honestly.
Okay, what do you do outside of work? And you can't say work.
Define work. Well, what do I do outside of work? I used to do a lot more. I've kind of tapered off since last time we spoke, Sabs. Honestly, so outside of work, it's a mixture of either doing marketing workshops, or like I'm mentoring people, or what's taking up more of my time actually is angel investing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's me and 3 other business partners who came together to create an angel investment firm called Community Ventures.
Yeah.
So
I know, I'm going to go into that.
I know your pricey, your notes over there, prepped, ready to go. So literally for the last almost 2 years now, I've just been really focused on growing that and building that essentially. So that's taking most of my time outside of work. Yeah.
Okay, should we do the last one or second last one before we do our special one? In one sentence, how would you sum up the internet?
The internet is a tool that could be used for good or for bad.
Oh, I like that. That's quite true. Okay.
Actually, I'll go one. That one.
You gotta go deep.
What is your proudest achievement to date?
Oh, that's quite cute. I like that.
Actually, it was something that happened recently. Actually, it's a tie. I have to say, I'm gonna be
Okay.
It's a tie.
Do it. You can do that.
So
Just for you, we'll allow it.
just for me, breaking the rules of the podcast. You know what I mean? So the first bit was investing in the first company at Community Ventures. Just for the whole process of meeting the founders at Afrocentrics, which is a natural hair care brand. They're based in the UK. They got their products in what's the store? What's the vegan store that everyone likes? Whole Foods. They're in Whole Foods and they're expanding in the UK. Got customers around the world. Amazing founders. So being able to support their business, it was a pretty cool achievement. And I guess another thing that's a little bit more personal to me is my nephew. So my nephew, he just had his second birthday not too long ago.
Okay.
And I don't know why I did it. I literally created an account, started putting money in that account ever since before he was born. And now I look back, I'm like, well, that's a lot. That's this nephew. Look at this kid. But for me, I didn't quite realize the symbolism of that. And when I brought it up at my nephew's birthday party recently, all my other family members are like, why did we never thought about that when they were raising my generation? They're like, yeah, but thank you for doing something that's looking a little bit further ahead. Because I don't know why, but I've always been that person that's like, okay, cool, this is comfortable where we are right now, but where can we go? And I think unintentionally that just really just was a cool thing that I just did. I don't know why I did it. I just said, just get out there, get something situated for my nephew, so that when he's 18 or 25 or whatever, like he's got something to look forward to. Hopefully, he doesn't go bet it all on gambling or something.
You're gonna have
Make
that
it
like
rain.
Exactly. I'll be like, no raining for you. It's gonna be a shower.
Get
That's
one
what
of
it's gonna
those
be.
money shoots.
The supreme.
Okay, he's not gonna listen to this episode because of you guys.
Okay, this is our last question. Very random, very odd. Would you rather have no teeth or no fingernails?
I'll go no fingernails. Because you could just get like some really cool custom-made gloves made and then you're fine. And you don't really need fingernails.
I disagree, but
What?
This is Sabs' thing. No one has ever said fingernails.
think about it. You have dentures. Dentures, they like put them to your mouth. They look so real.
Yeah.
What do you have to replace
It's not
fingernails?
But you could tell when people get dentures though, that's the thing.
But how many things do you scratch and do you need your nails for? To like, no?
All my nails are all gone.
Imagine someone asking, can you scratch my back? And it's just...
I'll grab a pencil.
Scratch
Or spatula. Like, where's that scratch?
She's great at that. Maybe a bit too much.
I'm going to give you £50 if someone says nails.
I'm going to
That's,
watch.
you're a witness.
I am a witness
Okay.
to this.
You're a
I'll sign a
witness.
Just for
contract.
the first season. Because
Wow. See, this is why he's in business.
How many people are we
Smart.
talking about?
Oh, we're gonna have we're gonna talk about this. Because once they listen, then they'll know, right?
No.
So.
Okay, I see how it is.
And that's a wrap. Be sure to check out some of our other episodes.
Thanks for listening.